You know those months where everything just clicks? Well, June was that reselling month for me. We had full price sales, fast flips, and very high profits that had me reminiscing about the old days of reselling and thinking, is it back? Is reselling back on track for me? I didn't even have to chase the money found me. So if you're interested in hearing about June's reselling recap, stick around. Hi everybody, if you're new here, my name is Catherine. I'm a beauty and reselling enthusiast, and those are the things that I love to talk about on this channel. This reseller recap is a monthly series that I do that goes into the deep depths of a part-time reseller, which is what I am. I like to talk to you about the highs, and there were a lot of them this month, so a little bit of foreshadowing, and the lows of reselling. We get into all the nitty-gritty numbers so you can kind of understand what it's like to be a reseller. If you're curious, if you're nosy, if you like numbers like me, you like to know what's selling fast, what's not selling so great, and just try to be the best reseller possible, this is the video for you. So diving in, let me scooch over. We are recapping the month of June. I know it's a little bit late. These videos seem to be getting pushed out later into the next month, but such is life. So we're here. So we are recapping June. My total sales for the month was $1,094.73. My cost of goods was $244.92, and my total profit was $888.91. Now, if you've been following this series this year, you will know that this is like, I think, my highest month. Let me fact check that. I'm quite sure that it's my highest month, but let me double check. Yes, it is my highest month. And that's a little sad to say. And I say that not discounting myself as a reseller, but this would have been a low month for me in previous years. You know, almost $900. That would have been on the lower side. I usually cracked over $1,000 plus. So for this to be my highest month, you know, it's it's bittersweet. You know, I'm glad that it's happening this year, but it also kind of reminds me of the good old days of reselling where things came just a little bit easier for me, and that is that. But I am very happy that we're tracking in the right direction, so that's great. My average cost of goods for items was on the higher side, but that's also because I paid up for more items this month, which we'll go into further. But my average cost of goods was $8.45, so that is how much I'm paying on average per item that sold this particular month. My average listing price was also higher. It was $52.34, which also made my average profit per item higher as well, which is $30.65. My goal is to get at least a $20 profit per item. I usually stick in the, like, my sales, I feel like, range from the $30 to $50 mark. So if I can get $20 of profit per item, that's a sweet spot that I want to be in. So I'm very happy to see that it is over $30. I would love to stay over $30 if that's a potential for me. My average days to sell actually reduced a little bit. I think the previous month it was 74 days. So right now it is 61 days, which is something we will also get into. Things were moving quickly, and I was not mad about it. I did sell 28 items. Again, a little on the lower level compared to previous years, but for getting almost $900 in profit, only selling $28 is primo in my opinion. And I do sell on multiple different platforms. I always say you need to diversify yourself in platforms. I know that it can take extra energy in order to cross-list things. There are lots of softwares out there now. I personally use Vendoo. This isn't sponsored by them at all, but I do use Vendoo to help me cross-list to all these platforms. If you are ever interested in it, I do have a referral code down below. You get some time free, I couldn't tell you what it is, and then a discount, and then I earn a commission for it. So I don't even know what that commission is. It just is a commission. I probably should know these things, but I don't. But anyways, I sell on lots of different platforms, so I always like to account for how many items I sold on each platform just to see what is the best performing platform for me. So I actually sold 9 items on eBay, which is I think somewhat of a higher number, I feel like. Depop was 1, Curtsy was 0. I also restarted selling on Vistair, kind of listing my more higher end items on there, things that were listed at least like $45 and above. Didn't make any sales this month on Vistair at this time. I had 1 on Mercari, which Mercari has been kind of a ghost lately, so happy to see it still lives, barely, I guess, for me. 0 on Vinted, and then the rest on Poshmark, which was 17.
Alright, so this is the part of the video where I get very small and my items get very big. We talk about the things that actually sold within this month. I always like to give you an overview of the lowest profiting items and then the highest profiting items, so you can kind of get in just like a range of what is selling, what's selling for what, how much money I'm making, and all that jazz. So the first item that, well, I shouldn't say the first item, but the item that sold for the lowest amount of profit was this junk food Jimi Hendrix American Flag burnout tee that sold on Poshmark. My cost of goods was $3.43. It did sell for $20, so I profited $12.57. And this was a long-term resident in my closet. It did sell within 342 days of the third time relisting it. Very long time. I did receive an offer from the buyer. It did so happen to be around 4th of July. I think it was the week prior to 4th of July. So I'm wondering if this was their 4th of July clothing that they wore. I'm always interested to know why people buy the things and like what events they're going to wear them to. So that's my guess. Would I pick this up? Again, no. Junk food used to be a brand that could do really well. I actually have sold some junk food teas for much higher prices in the past, as well as Jimi Hendrix graphic tees. I want to say, if I'm thinking of the right one, there's a brand called Wellworn, I think it's called Wellworn, that had a Jimi Hendrix graphic on it, and those t-shirts retail for like $150, and I do remember selling it, I think, in the $100 range. That was many moons ago, so I could be a little bit incorrect on the prices and stuff like that, but if you see the brand Wellworn, it's definitely a Bolo brand. You probably should pick it up. So moving on to Depop. I sold this pair of Sam Edelman Flint Pink Suede Lace-Up Ballet Flats. I did pick them up for $6. They sold for $22. My profit was $12.60. These sold within 6 days of the first time listing it. I did receive an offer from the buyer, and these were sold for boosted, which is an extra percentage, something you can opt into for Depop. So it's an extra 8% of the selling price, but seeing as they don't have seller fees, it's well worth it to promote listings to me. And then you can also see that I had some style tags listed with these as well. I tell you, like, people don't really pick up Sam Edelman or Vince Camuto shoes, and I'm here to tell you, I actually think you should be picking them up. Granted, you don't want to pick up like basic ones or anything like that, but anything with like fun style to them, I think is worth picking up. I mean, look at the boosting stats here. I had over 3,700 views and 116 clicks to look at these, and only 9% of those clicks came from boosting. So people were looking for these. Again, it could have been the style of them, it could have been the color of them, it could have been the style tags of them. I don't really know, but it is always worth taking a double look at Sam Edelman and Vince Camuto shoes. I also say Dolce Vita shoes because they do have relatively high retail values, like in the, we'll say $50 to $150 mark, and do have some resale. Now, these went for $22. My profit wasn't the greatest, but I was also kind of in that mindset of I wanted to move things quickly. So I was okay with taking a lower offer, because then it's not sitting in my inventory for a very long time, and that's something that I'm kind of toying around with. Do I take a faster nickel compared to a slow dime? But you let me know down below. Would you have picked up Sam Edelman? Would you have sold them at $22 for only just under a $13 profit? Would you have waited? Let me know all the things down below. I'm always curious. So then the next lowest profiting item, and you could tell we are going in ascending order for lowest profiting, is this one dress that I picked up that I could not figure out what the brand was. So if you aren't looking, look on the screen, and this was the brand, and I could not figure it out. I couldn't figure out what that brand name was. So I did some sleuthing on Anthropologie vintage brands, because there used to be a brand list for Anthropologie. Those used to be very popular because Anthropologie has lots of brands underneath their brand, I guess. And so I was able to figure out that the brand was actually called Zehavel. I don't know if I'm even pronouncing it right. But anyways, this is the flounced mocha dress. I did pick it up because some vintage Anthropologie can sell well. I knew from that brand tag it had to have been a little bit more of a vintage Anthropologie piece. It also kind of had that like lagging look to it, kind of that girly look, all that sort of stuff, which did well with style tags. So I did pick this up for $6.83. It did sell for $25, so I profited $13.17. It sold within 10 days of the first time listing it, and I did receive an offer from the buyer. I received a counter offer from a waterfall offer sale that I was doing. I talk about those every so often. I do them about every 2 to 3 weeks in my closet, where I will go and send out ascending offers to people starting with 30, 40, 50, 60%. So somebody got an offer from me and they counter offered it, and I accepted. And this also did have style tags that I attached to the listing. So I'm accounting for those two to see if my theory is working with style tags. Moving on to our next item was this pair of Bowden Flatform Chambray embroidered jute espadrille. They were super cute. I picked them up for $6.83, so they must have come from the same haul as the Anthropologie dress we just talked about, because when I do my thrift hauls, I basically average out per item compared to individual items. So I just take the whole total divided by how many items I purchased, and that is the cost of goods for the item. So that's how I know it's the same thrift haul. And if you are ever curious to know about the things I pick up, I do have a thrift haul playlist. I will link on the screen for you, so you can watch that to your heart's desire and vicariously thrift if you like to do thrift hauls. So these sold for $26. And again, I think I probably could have gotten more money out of these, but I was in the mindset of wanting to flip things pretty quickly and seeing what I could get for it. Again, reselling is, like, for me personally, is just a bunch of trial and error. And so I'm just trying to figure out what works best for me. And to be honest, that goalpost keeps changing all of the time. So it's like a constant thing that you're trying to figure out, which can be fun and exciting, but it can also be very tiring and irritating. So my profit was $13.97, if I didn't say that already. These sold within 3 days of the first time listing it. Did receive an offer from the buyer, and these had style tags attached to the item. Rounding out my lowest profiting items, this actually is a Beach Riot straw visor. And I actually got this in my FabFitFun box, one of my recent boxes. This was an item that I thought I was going to like, but I just don't really see myself wearing a straw visor. I just didn't feel like that would work for my lifestyle. So I opted to sell it instead, which, if you do FabFitFun boxes, I would say don't pick items based off that you think that you're going to resell them for a huge profit. Because lots of people get FabFitFun items and lots of people resell those items, so the market kind of gets saturated. So I was under the impression that this probably was going to get pretty saturated, which it was, and I probably wasn't going to make a big profit on it, but I'd rather sell it to somebody else and at least recoup my money from that particular item from the box. I also have a subscription unboxing playlist I can link for you as well. Just kind of goes through everything that I get in my subscription boxes, and it's a fun time. Anyways, back to this item. Also too, if you don't like story times on items, this is not the channel for you. I tell you lovingly that I am chaotic and I try to organize things as best I can, but you know what? I have a story with a lot of things and it can kind of get convoluted, and that's just me. So I'm giving you fair warning. If you don't like that, you probably don't want to subscribe to this channel. So now getting back to this hat, because I picked it up from FabFitFun, my cost of goods for all of the items that were in my box was just shy of $10. It was $9.96. This actually sold full price for $30. I was shocked. So I profited $14.04, and it sold within 11 days of the first time listing it. So again, very quick turnarounds. I love it. This too also had style tags that I used. And you can see down here, some of the tags were beach, vacation, resort wear, all that sort of stuff. So I was very happy to see that go quickly. Now, let's jump into my highest profiting items, again, in ascending order, because don't we love that? Let's see. So we are starting with this Birkenstock Arizona Big Buckle sandal in natural leather patent. Oh my gosh, it's such a name. Birkenstock Arizona Big Buckle in patent high shine black. These were a smaller size at 36 European. They were in good use condition, and their retail value is $170. You can kind of see how I do my eBay titles and stuff like that. My cost of goods was a little bit on the high side. It was $20.48, but this was the first time I found Big Buckle Birkenstocks, which, if you know anything about Birkenstocks, those are like kind of the high sought after styles. I actually just recently purchased a pair myself. In my recent beauty tours video, I do a little bit of a haul that I picked up from my recent trip to Disneyland, and I picked up a pair because I am also influenced to buy them. So they were on the higher side of my cost of goods, but they did sell for $85 plus shipping. So I did, I think it was within range. So I originally priced them at $130, and then I always set a range on eBay of what I auto accept. So it auto accepted at $85. So I profited $41.90. These sold within 4 days of the first time listing it. Again, things were moving quickly, and I was loving it. Another little story time about these shoes is that so the person who bought them, paid immediately, and then I'm a very prompt shipper when I can be, and I mean, you can see right here they even had some. Can we stay on the picture? They even had a little bit of wear to them. They were still in really good condition, but just like natural wear to the patent leather and stuff like that. So the person paid very promptly, and I shipped them out because I ship things out promptly. And then they messaged me, and it's always like a pit of your stomach when you get a message on eBay after you sell something. And I can't quite remember what the message was, but she was saying something like I needed 2 different sizes or something, like I needed a 36 and a 38. And I told her, I was like, well, I've already shipped these out, but these are a size 36, so that is one of the sizes that you're looking for. Like, I don't know if she was looking for 2 separate pairs in 2 separate sizes, or if she was looking for 1 shoe in a size 36 and 1 shoe in a size 38. I'm not really sure, but she was happy with my answer, and she rated. I got positive feedback from her, so I was very happy with that. So not every message on eBay has to be a terrible thing. I don't know, it's my automatic reaction, which probably should not be that, but it is. All right, the next item. We stay on eBay for a little bit, just so you know. This is Tibby, the Stella Crispy Nylon Pleated Cargo Pant, size 6, excellent use condition, that retailed for almost $400, like crazy. When I was at the thrift store, I saw these and I kind of looked at them and I was like, I don't really know. Like, I knew Tibby was kind of like a high in retail value, but that doesn't always equate to resale. And I kind of looked them up and I put it back. And then I thought about them. I was like, maybe I should get these. So I was definitely back and forth with getting these, and I'm very happy that I did, because to be honest, they're a little weird, and weird tends to sell well with reselling. I don't make up the rules. That's just kind of how it is. And they kind of met like a really interesting style. I forget what tags I used for these, but they were really cool. So these sold on eBay. My cost of goods was $6.83, again, from that same thrift haul. So I picked up a lot of good stuff that thrift haul. So these sold for $75 plus shipping, and I profited $55.57. Again, they sold within 9 days of the first time listing it. I did receive a counter offer from them. So when anybody is interested or watches something on eBay, I will send them a 20% offer, and they must have countered that. These were not promoted, so I did not have to pay an extra fee on top of the already fees that you get from eBay. Style tags as well. And a note I made is that these were actually very popular across all of my platforms. And when I went to go look at the people who liked this or were interested or anything like that, I noticed they also sold a lot of Tibby in their closet. So I don't know if this is some sort of like cult brand, if you will, where, or very loyal fan base or something like that. So, if you see something Tibby, and let me pop on the screen what the tag looks like. That's what it looks like. You may consider looking it up, because they do have high retail value. And it seemingly so they have high I always get those confused. Retail value. It has a high retail value and also a high resale value. Obviously, it's going to depend on the item, but it is worth a second glance. And then the next item was this Marissa Webb Bristol black leather dress. It was a size large. It was good use condition, and it retailed for almost $600. So I actually picked this up at not Plato's Closet, Buffalo Exchange. And this was a Bolo brand. It was a brand I'd never heard of before. Let me see if I can pull up the tag. So it was a brand I never heard of before, but I looked it up and comps looked really great. So search comparables, or sold comparables, we call comps. The comps looked really great. So I was willing to pay up for it, which was $17.03. It sold for $100 plus shipping. If you can see right here, I had this priced at $275, and somebody offered me $100. So $175 off. And I took it. Sometimes you have to shoot your shot. Do I get irritated when people send me low offers? Of course I do. Because I try to price my items according to sold comparables and stuff like that. And so I'm making also top dollar. So it's like a kind of a mix of how you price items. You want it to be able to sell, but you also want to make money off of it. So somebody came at me with $100. Again, I was really looking to just make sales, because I'm a firm believer that sales equate to more sales. So once you kind of get that sale train going, in my experience, it leads to more sales. Also, too, this was missing the attached belt. So it did have, I'm assuming it was probably a leather belt, because I think this was like genuine lamb leather. Yeah, so I'm assuming it had a lamb leather belt too that it was missing. So that kind of detracts from the price as well. But you know what? I still profited almost $60, so I was okay with it. It sold within 30 days of the first time listing it. And staying on eBay one last time is a pair of Salvatore Ferragamo Terra Black Satin Rosette Kitten Heels. They were an 8.5. They were a regular width with Ferragamos. If you know, you know. Like, I don't know why, but Ferragamos, I almost always find them in A's or AAA width, which is very, 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 very tiny. So I was very happy to see that these were a regular width, which is B for women. And they were just so cute. Like, the style tags I used, I'm pretty sure would probably be like old money. What else would I use? Like preppy, girly, things like that with the rosette and all that sort of stuff. So my cost of goods was $10. These sold for $85 plus shipping. So I profited $61.61. And they sold within the first day of the first time listing it, which, that's the epitome. I would love that every single time. Every single time. So these sold within the range. So again, I probably put the range maybe like $65 to auto accept. So somebody offered me $85, so it automatically accepted it. This was not promoted, so I didn't have to pay an additional promoting fee. And there were style tags used for this listing. Now, the Big Mama Jamma that sold very well, very, very, very well. And I'm so excited because it was obviously my highest profiting item and probably my highest profiting item in a really, really long time, like really long time. And without further ado, it was a pair of Gucci shoes. Yes, Gucci shoes. So this is the Gucci Perforated G Platform Mules in black rubber. Now, I actually found these at Plato's Closet, and Plato's Closet had them priced very well. I would say the shoe itself was probably like $25. And on the little tag, like, it didn't have any indication. Like, it was kind of funny. Going back a little bit, sorry, this is my tangent. I picked up the Birkenstocks that sold, that I shared about at the same Plato's. Those two shoes like cost the same amount of money, and on the Birkenstocks it said that they were like the authentication was questionable or something like that. Like, the word authenticate was on there, but not in like a good way. I can't quite remember what it said. But I did all of the markers. I checked everything. They were authentic. When it came to the Gucci shoes, I wanted to be sure as well, especially when it comes to high-end products like this. So I used Real Authenticator to get these authenticated, which basically I just sent them all of these pictures. They have a very specific number of pictures they want you to send into them so they can authenticate it. And I paid for basically to get this certificate as well. So that's what added to the cost of goods. I just kind of put it all together and added that to my cost of goods. So for total, these shoes cost me $60.48. Now, they did sell for $300, and that was somebody who made a counter offer to my initial offer of 20% off, which is auto set for my Posture VA system that I have as well. And it was a lot of back and forth. They originally offered me like maybe $150, and these were still relatively new. I knew they could go for more than that. So we countered back and forth for a really long time, and that's always a gamble. I'm not going to lie. It is always a gamble to do counter offers. And so eventually they accepted $300, which I was very happy about. So my profit was $179.52. They sold within 2 days of the first time listing it, and there were style tags attached to these as well. Now, I like to talk about bundle sales as well, because I always encourage bundle sales. I talk about this in all my reseller videos. I have an ongoing bundle sale promotion, and it just is a good way to get more items out. I'm getting a lower profit, but I'm moving more items out, which, it comes at a cost, quite literally. So the one and only bundle that I sold was actually an all athletic bundle. It was made of this pair of Gymshark Energy seamless high-waisted leggings in this pastel lilac. They were very cute. I don't think I would pick up Gymshark leggings anymore. I just don't think the resale value is desirable as it was before. There was one thrift haul that I picked up, like, I swear 10 pairs of Gymshark, and I just paid too much for them. And like, if I was paying maybe $1 or $2 for them, I wouldn't mind it, but I picked these up and they were more like $6, and the resale value just isn't there anymore. So it was this Gymshark. It was this Lululemon tank in Dusty Dawn. Then we sold this pair of Peloton in collaboration with With. I'd never heard of them before, but With stands for something. I can't quite remember what it stands for. But they were like a Pride collaboration in 2021. They were reversible. I actually got these in a ThredUp box. I can share that playlist with you as well. Those ThredUp boxes are pretty fun. I haven't gotten one in a while, and the itch is there to get one. Comment down below if you want me to get a ThredUp rescue box. So anyways, these came in the box, and I literally put them off to the side because I needed to look into them, because I was like, are these something? Are they not something? And they were something. And they sat probably for 5 months in a pile of stuff for me to research, and they sold within like a few days of me listing them. So will I learn my lesson? Probably not. And then the last item in that bundle was another Peloton top that I probably paid too much for. But anyways, my cost of goods was $17.06. So when anybody likes anything in my closet, I always send them my my listing for my 2 for $36 sale, and I have like a little explanation of it. And this person, again, shooting their shot, offered me like $60 when the total should have been like $72, which the $72 was a pretty decently discounted price for the totals of everything. And so I countered back with 62. Eventually they came back at like 69, which is what I ended up accepting. And it was $3. Like, I'm a very principled type of person, so I would have loved to counter back at 62, but over $3 will not squabble about it, so I accepted the $69. So ultimately my profit was $38.14.
So now that we know what things we're selling for high profits and low profits, I like to come back and talk about some other just like really, I find interesting numbers that I like to keep track of for my own reselling business. So the first one is if I had any returns or cases throughout the month, which luckily it is 0. I always love having a 0 return or case number. What that number tells me is that I am accurately describing items, accurately shipping them, all that sort of stuff. So kind of continuing on doing what I'm doing. Another super exciting metric that I like to account for is if I had any same day sales, which I did. That is always the fun part of reselling, is being able to list something one day and it sell within that same day. And so the item that actually sold is this Meshki Demetria Plissé halter maxi dress in ivory. So I did list it. I picked it up, I think from Plato's Closet. It was actually on clearance too. I got a pretty good profit from it, but I did list it and it sold within a few hours. Somebody made an offer on it, and then I waited. I think I shipped it out the next day. And again, kind of the same thing with the Birkenstock shoes. A message comes through. I always have like a little mini panic attack when that comes through. And the buyer said like, hey, I didn't read the description, because on the dress, although it was new with tags, like the bottom hem of it, because it was maxi dress, just was a little bit dingy, especially it was a white dress. So it was a little bit dingy, just kind of that store wear, like if it's hanging on the ground, it kind of collects that dust and stuff like that. That's all it was dust. I made sure to note that. And so the buyer was like, well, I didn't see that and I'd like to cancel. Well, the item was already shipped out. With Poshmark specifically, you have 3 hours to kind of I guess, a regret time for the buyer that they can cancel. So I've learned to wait those 3 hours and then I'll ship it after that. And I think it actually was the next day that I shipped it and they sent a message and I basically just said, you know what, I've already shipped it. My solution to it is I think it's just store wear. It looked like it would come out in the wash. You know, obviously I can't guarantee that, but that was my explanation for it. And I guess I didn't say this, but this is my word to the wise, is make sure to read descriptions of things. You know, people put their time and effort, hopefully, I know I do, to describe the item as it is. So even though it was new with tags, I'm still gonna say, hey, I did notice that there's some like store wear, dirt wear on the bottom, and I think it will come out. I can't tell you for sure, but I think it will. So definitely read descriptions. But you know what? Everything went through. It was all good. And so not only do I like to account for same day sales, but same week sales also get me very excited. And as I alluded to at the beginning, I had a lot of same week sales. Like things were going quickly, I noticed in June, which I was very happy about. And that exact number is 10 items out of the, what did I say, 28 items sold within the same week, which is very exciting. That does include the same day sale as well. So we already talked a lot about the items that sold within that same week. Some additional items was this pair of Tory Burch sandals. I think they were the Miller like thong style sandals. And then this vintage Wrangler top also sold within that same week. And even more exciting than same day, same week sales are full price sales. I had 4 full price sales this month. That is like unheard of these days anymore. It's like for me specifically, it was crazy to have 4 full price sales. I'm lucky if I have 1 full price sale these days. So to have 4 is pretty amazing. So we already talked about the what was it? Beach Riot hat. We already talked about that. Another was a Lululemon t-shirt top. It kind of had this like fun speckled print on it. A pair of Adidas sneakers that I swear to you I have had forever, and all of a sudden they sold full price. So sometimes we have to sit on inventory and relist it a few to a handful of times to get that right buyer. And then the last one was this Bowden dress, and funny enough, that Bowden dress actually sold before on an offer, but I felt like something wasn't right about it, so I double checked what size I listed it compared to what size it actually was, and that was my fault. I listed it as the incorrect size. You know, I still had a picture of the actual size, and I put the wrong size in the description, so that was my fault. But I relisted it and it sold for full price, so it ended up working out for me in the end, which I appreciate those happy little accidents. Moving on to my next metric is how many sales are being generated from my Posher VA automatic offers. So that's another extension I use. Again, my referral is down below, and it's a tool that helps me share my Poshmark closet and send out automatic discounts. There's a lot of other tools that are available with it that I don't use, but they are available if it makes it worth it for you. So I like to be accountable of how many I'm actually getting, just to see. I mean, I think it's worth it. I say that in every video. I still think it's worth it, even if I did get no sales from the automatic offers. But it's just something I'd like to track. So I sent out 1 automatic offer at 20%, and somebody accepted that. I had 1 bundle sale that we talked about, which included 4 items. And then now breaking down between offers received, offers sent, all that good stuff. So I did receive 8 offers from buyers. So those are buyers sending me offers. I had 6 counter offers. So that's me sending an offer and then somebody countering back. Offer sent was 1 that was successful, which was the Posher VA one. And then some new metrics that I started last month that we're going to continue on with are just like within range sales. So that's going to be more specifically on eBay and Mercari, but I had 5 within range sales, and that was on eBay, and it kind of helps to know for my pricing ranges. Like I want to know like how well I'm doing pricing wise. I made a sale on Depop. That's amazing. And then my newest metric that I'm also tracking that I started last month was how many items sold where I utilize style tags within the listing. So out of the 28 sales I made, 18 of those items had style tags. So it makes me like have further evidence of what I'm doing is working. And if you aren't familiar, I did just start a new series on this channel. It is the Reseller Aesthetic Report, where basically I'm going through like really popular aesthetic styles and kind of breaking it down for reselling purposes, like the history of it, what to look for at the thrift store, you know, when it comes to textures, silhouettes, even brands. We do forecasting of, is this, you know, going to be a popular one? I give you actual data and metrics as to showing that it is pretty popular. And so a lot of great information. I've done 2 episodes so far, the first one being Coquette and the second one being European Summer. I will link that playlist for you so you can watch those. I do have a few others in mind of what I will be doing soon, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe if you are interested in learning more about that. So style tags, still something that is going strong. I've actually started not only including the style tags in my Vindu listing, but I kind of realized that those style tags don't go to all platforms. Not all platforms use style tags, like for eBay, for instance. So I actually started using those style tags in the listing itself for July. So I'm seeing how that's working out too. So with my high and low profiting sales, you heard me talk about promoted, boosted, all that sort of stuff. So I like to keep track of those too to make sure that it's still working for me and it's still worth it. So eBay uses the term promoted, and basically you get to pick a percentage of how much you want to promote your item. I usually stick anywhere from like, what are my numbers that I use? If I'm pricing the item higher, I'll do like an 8%. If it's within like the $40 range, I'll do 5%. And then if it's any lower, I'll do 3 or 2%. Because if I do 8% for a higher priced, or I'm sorry, a lower priced item, my potential of profit is going to go down completely to potentially be 0. So I do like to amend lower costing items. And then boosted is the term that Depop uses, and that is just a flat 8% on any item. But again, they don't have seller fees over there, so again, I think it's worth it. It's kind of like in place of seller fees. And I only made 1 sale on Depop and it was boosted, so there you go. And 2 new metrics that I started last month as well is I want to see what category I sold the most items in and what was the most profiting category. And that happened to be the same for both. So in this month, I sold 9 pairs of shoes, which was the highest number of items sold out of 28 sales, and it was also the highest profiting item. So out of the shoes, I profited $426.45. So that is almost half of my totaling profit came from those 9 pair of shoes. Shoes are the category that I go to immediately in the thrift store. Like, I beeline to shoes first and then I'll go to dresses. Let me know what your patterns are when you go to the thrift store. Some people have very like particular regions of the thrift store that they go to first, and shoes then dresses is what's for me. And then afterwards, it could be anything. So just some final thoughts of everything for the month. It truly felt like old times of reselling with full price sales, things selling super quickly. It just seemed easier. It was easier. Not saying that like I didn't put in work or the work was easier, but the flow of everything seemed easier, which really reminded me of just past times of reselling. I've been reselling since 2013 and more intensely since 2017, and it's really feeling like the 2017 to 2020 times. Maybe even, gosh, I think reselling really kind of changed for me in the last 2 years. Before that, it flowed really well. And the past 2 years, just there are a lot of different factors with that, me included. Sometimes I just wasn't as consistent as I was before, but even then, like, I wasn't a super consistent person to begin with, and things just seemed easier. So it was a really nice kind of reminiscent time, and I really hope it's not a one-off and like things continue on. Another note is my highest profits came from eBay. So I said it before, I'll say it again, diversify yourself. Don't be afraid of eBay. Don't be afraid of other platforms. I understand that it does take time and energy and effort to learn about a new platform, but it can also be very profitable too. So a lot of people I've heard kind of get scared of eBay just because it's just different compared to what other people are used to with like Poshmark and stuff. The listing is different. The environment is just different on eBay, but I'm also getting some of my highest profits this month. So it works for me. I challenge you to try a new platform. In the beginning, I told you about the different platforms I'm on. Not all of them are super successful, but you just never know. Sometimes you gotta cast a wide net to get your fish. We talked about lots of shoes selling at the beginning of the month. I think, let me pull up my sheet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, the first 4 sales of the month within the first 3 days were shoes. One of them being the Gucci shoes. So shoes is definitely one of my favorite categories. It is the hardest to store for me. I feel like they take up a lot of room and at times can be slow sellers. Like I kind of go through these ebbs and flows of shoes of how fast they sell. But it's still one of my favorite categories for sure. We had lots of high average sale prices, and most particularly with those Gucci shoes, that brought up the average quite a bit, which again, not mad about, super happy. I wish I could do that every day, is pay $60 for an item and sell it for $300 and make $180. Like that would be fantastic if I could rinse and repeat that all the time. But I'm at the mercy of what the thrift stores have for me that day, so I can't always rinse and repeat. I can just kind of create processes for myself and more rely on bread and butter items, and every so often have those Gucci moments to get me $180. There was one thing at the beginning of the month, which I am a little superstitious when it comes to reselling, and I'm one of those people that really, really, really want to get a sale on the first day of the month. I feel like that kind of gives me an indication of how the month is going. Not all the times, but it kind of gets the ball rolling. Again, when you get a sale, that it creates more sales in my mind. So although I didn't sell anything on the first day, I did have an offer, I think on 2 items that I actually counter offered on both of them, and both did not go through. Neither one of them were successful. And so the people who offered me, who made me an offer, I still would have profited on those items. So kind of goes back to the theory of, do you want a fast nickel or slow dime? And sometimes that mindset changes for me. I think more on the beginning of the month, and even at the end of the month, I'm going to be a little bit more conscious of, I'd rather make any sort of profit from it and just get it out of my inventory to keep those sales rolling. So if you have your eye on anything in my closet, the best bets of getting the best deal is going to be at the beginning or the end of the month. So a little word to the wise, which I do have my Poshmark closet listed down below if you are curious in anything that I have for sale. What else? Oh, just some like thrifting updates. I am picking up a little bit more vintage stuff based off of style. So kind of going along with my reseller aesthetic report, I am a lot more conscious of style of items, and not necessarily brand or not necessarily like contemporary items. So if I find something that fits within an aesthetic that is trending or selling well, I'm definitely more willing to pick up vintage. I am no vintage expert whatsoever, but I do know when things like are pretty to me and fit style and all that sort of stuff. So I couldn't tell you what the good vintage brands are. I mean, really the only vintage brands that I can think of that I think still sell pretty consistently is Gunny Sacks and maybe like Coogie, something like that. There's probably many others out there too, but those are the ones that I can think of. Style tags are still working. I'm still kind of playing around with that aspect of the listing of my listings, and I'm still seeing success with it. So again, I challenge you to start adding style tags to your listings to see if it works. I do have an idea for a video that would continue on the series. If you can tell, I love series. Makes content creation so much easier when you do series. But I had a series at the beginning of the year that basically were like thrift haul fails, and it was items that I've had in my closet for years and years and years. I've relisted them multiple times and they just aren't selling. I did sell some of those items at like buy sell trade stores like Buffalo Exchange, Plato's Closet, stuff like that to recoup some money, but I still have a handful of those items. So my idea is trying to relist those items now with style tags to see if they sell. If you're interested in that like update video, please let me know down below and I will get that made. And last thing is, this month I was just more consistent with listing to begin with, which I think is a huge part of anything when it comes to the internet. You know, we have to kind of like really appease those algorithm monsters on the internet if you are hoping to grow in anything, whether that be social media, reselling, I don't know, anything, I guess. Those are the only two things that I can think of, but I'm sure there's other things that consistency is really good on when it comes to the internet. So I was very consistent this month with drafting up my listings, putting new listings online, relisting old listings, all that sort of stuff. So that definitely helped as well, I think. But with that, that is everything that I have for June's reseller recap. It was a very exciting month. I am filming this at the end of July, and I'm not giving any spoilers to July. You'll just have to subscribe and wait for that video to come out. But thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Your time, you can spend it any which way, and I appreciate that you spend it with me. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all the wonderful YouTube things to help this channel grow. And with that, I'll see you in my next one. Bye. Oh, real quick, makeup check-in. I always forget to do that on my reselling videos. So this is a look that I completed with my July Shop My Stash. Sorry, when I do my reseller recaps, it's always the month prior, and then when I do my Shop My Stash, it's that month of, so I always get confused. So the products I used was from my July Shop My Stash. I will link that for you either on the screen or down below if I don't have room on the screen. And we are going to be shifting Shop My Stashes soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that. I can tell you my eyes are a mixture of my Tom Ford cream shadow, and then I topped it with the dark brown shimmer in the Bride of Frankenstein from Melt palette, and then I also lined, like did a little winged liner with the brown matte in that same palette. My cheeks are a combination of the Huda Beauty liquid shadow topped with the Milani shimmery shadow. My foundation is a mixture of both. My powder is the Tarte powder, and I think that's the only thing that has like multiples of. And then my lip is just the Milani like fruit fetish lip gloss. I'll link everything down below if you're interested in shopping through those links. They're affiliated. I truly appreciate it if you shop through them. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to do that, but at least we'll give you a link to the items that I'm using if you want to purchase them on your own. Okay,